Welcome to the Arrive U.S. Immigration Law podcast with your hosts Jeremy Richards and Christine Jerusik. Join us as we navigate the complex world of U.S. immigration law with a special focus on opportunities and challenges for Canadians and Mexicans under the USMCA. Whether you're a professional, business owner, or family member seeking to work and live in the United States, we're here to guide you every step of the way. So sit back and relax. You have arrived. Welcome to another episode of the Arrive podcast. Today I'm flying solo. Christine's off having fun somewhere in the Mediterranean or something like that. She's on vacation. So hopefully she's getting some sun and enjoying herself. But today we have two special guests with me. So I'm not all alone. We have, and I'll let them introduce themselves. We have Arsh.
Hi, everyone. My name is Arsh.
And Arsh is one of our, what is your title? What do we call you?
Law clerk?
Law clerk. Yeah, there we go. She's a foreign legal graduate. Where did you go to law school?
University of Birmingham in the United Kingdom.
In the United Kingdom. And she works here at Richards and Jerusik, and she's continuing her legal education, post-legal education, right? To become, what do they call it in Canada? Articled or?
Yeah, working on articling right now and then working towards becoming dual qualified in the future.
Yeah, so she's in the process of becoming qualified in the United States and Canada as an attorney. And then we have Kashif with us as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kashif, and I'm the marketing manager here at Richards and Jerusik. So the podcast you listen, YouTube videos you watch, probably I have edited those.
So if there's something out of line, it's all Kashif's fault. I know Kashif does a great job. And Kashif has his own story, too, of how he got to the United States. And what we're going to be doing today is a little bit different than our typical podcast, but I think it'll be interesting for those that are tuning in. We're going to be talking a little bit about the process and putting some faces to that process, and both the experience of Arsh and Kashif and of working and living in the United States. Arsh is Canadian, so she speaks to, the majority of our audience, and the experience of a Canadian. And Arsh commutes daily to work here. So discussing that, and then Kashif came. Kashif is from India, and he came on a student visa initially, and then his transition from that to H-1B and work life here in the United States too. So, but Arsh, let's pick on you to begin. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you to where you are today.
For sure. So as mentioned before, I work as a law clerk for Richards and Jerusik. I live in Niagara Falls, Canada, right over the border. I commute daily across to our Buffalo office. And I am currently on a TN visa. And basically I'm here today to kind of share my experience from my legal background to the TN application process and what cross-border commuting is really like. And I do hope this helps anyone considering similar opportunities or is curious about a life as a cross-border legal professional in a sense.
Professional in general, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you work in the legal field, but anybody who wants that cross-border commute, that life,
exactly,
live in Canada, work in the U.S.
Yeah. So I completed my law degree in the UK and then returned to Canada, where I went through the National Committee on Accreditation process to get my credentials recognized. I am now working on obtaining my license in Ontario, but during that journey, I did develop a strong interest in immigration law, probably because I've also firsthand seen the challenges and emotions that come with immigration, especially considering my family went through the same process. My father immigrated to Canada around the 80s, 90s. His situation was a bit unique. He had to immigrate considering humanitarian grounds, humanitarian compassionate grounds. So in India during that time, there was a lot of, I guess, political instability. So that was one of his major reasons for immigrating in Canada. And he faced his own challenges. But considering what he went through, I guess that's where my interest stemmed from. So after law school, I started looking for opportunities where I could kind of grow in immigration law. And of course, I came across Richards and Drusik and was immediately drawn to the type of work that they do, which is helping individuals and businesses navigate cross-border immigration between Canada and the U.S. And yeah, when I met the team, everything just clicked. I loved your approach, and your support with the TN process made my transition to the U.S. a lot smoother. And speaking to the TN process itself, it was a lot smoother than I expected, and that's thanks to our firm's support and the amazing package that was created for me.
Gotta take all the credit for that one.
For sure. But yeah, I had all the right guidance on how to prepare the application, what documents to include, and what to expect at the border, essentially. And you did an amazing job preparing me for my interview as well. So thank you for that, Jeremy.
And which border did you go through?
Through Peace Bridge.
You did apply at the Peace Bridge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I brought my
thought you did the Rainbow Bridge for some reason. Why did I think it was the Rainbow Bridge?
I think it was it was Rainbow Bridge.
Actually, okay.
Sorry.
You commute daily through the Peace Bridge, but
yes.
You applied at the Rainbow, right?
Yes.
Okay. But it's all the same port. So if you know the Port of Buffalo, they call it the Port of Buffalo.
Yeah.
Well, the Port of Buffalo includes the Peace Bridge, the Rainbow Bridge, and Lewiston, Queenston.
Yes. Yeah. I think
So tell us about that interview experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people hear us talk about it. I've never applied for a TN, right? You have. So tell us about when you applied for your TN. What was the experience like coming in to the United States? Explain that process. Going to the booth. What that looked like. And the experience of being interviewed.
Yeah. Going into it, I was a bit nervous, but it honestly was a lot better than I expected. It was very smooth. I wasn't bombarded with a lot of questions.
So what types of questions did they ask?
So they normally just ask about your credentials, why you want to come to the U.S. Very straightforward. Like, it wasn't anything like
so no trick questions.
No, very straightforward. And when you give them a proper TN package, and then you give them your degree certificates, I think that's all, like, the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't scrutinize me, or I didn't feel like they were going to deny me or anything like that. Like, it was a very, very smooth transition. And it was there was like no interrogation.
So straightforward questions that you would expect if you're coming to work in the U.S.
Exactly, yes.
How long did it take?
I think I was approved within 30 minutes.
In and out.
In and out, yep.
Yeah, and you did schedule an appointment in advance, right?
Yes.
And some ports require that. The Rainbow Bridge does require an interview in advance, or scheduling that interview in advance. You can't just show up and apply. But yeah, 30 minutes, that's pretty quick.
Yeah.
And reviewing all your paperwork, doing all the questioning. Now, did they fingerprint you? Did they photograph you?
Yes, they do complete your biometrics. So they did complete my fingerprints.
Yeah, so they do electronic fingerprinting and your photograph, and that's all standard procedure. And then did they issue a physical admission, or how did you know you were approved?
They stamped my passport, like, with a TN stamp.
So they put an actual TN stamp in your passport, which officers sometimes do and sometimes don't. You see it more at a land port than you do at an airport. But then also in your passport, it was updated, right?
Yes,
and if you pull it, now you have an electronic I-94 as proof of your authorization to work in the U.S. So after you came in, what about the process of getting your social security number?
SSN took a little while, I will say, but because you have to spend like an hour or two just on the phone getting an appointment. That was a little
So
bit.
you had to get an appointment by phone as well?
Yes. I think the Buffalo location does require an appointment.
So that's location specific, obviously. So
yes.
here in Buffalo, you would need that appointment.
Yeah. So once I got the appointment, I was able to go to the office, and then they issued my SSN. They pulled up my I-94, asked for my documents.
So
including
getting the
passport.
appointment was the hardest part in the process?
Yeah,
Oh.
I would say.
And then when you showed up, it was, so did they give you a social security number on the spot? What did they do?
No, they did say I was approved, and then they would mail it out within about, I believe, 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
And then I got it mailed to me directly.
Pretty seamless.
Yeah.
So how long after you got your TN did you then go to the Social Security office?
For my appointment was about, I think, 2 to 3 weeks after I had started work.
And then they say give them at least a week.
Yes.
So by the time you showed up, they clearly had all of your information and they were able to go through that and issue the Social Security number. Excellent. Now, you live in Niagara Falls, and we are in downtown Buffalo. How long does it take you to get to work every day?
About 30 minutes. 35?
And that's crossing an international border
Yes.
with your TN,
Yep.
right? And you've been doing this for how many months now?
A little bit over 3 months now.
So what complications, if any, have you ran into, or what does it look like commuting every day on your TN?
Honestly, I've faced no complications. It's honestly been a very smooth process. It's
So
very
no Jasmine
routine.
Mooney experience?
No, definitely not.
Were you ever in a situation, or have you been since you've been commuting, in a position where you felt like that was going to happen?
No, it's been very comfortable, very peaceful. Like every day I'd have my same routine. I wake up at the same time and then go straight to the border. And it's very routine now. Like they just ask simple questions. Oh, where are you going? I'm going to.
Do you know them all now?
Yes.
That's an advantage too, right? You know all the officers. They know who you are. But you haven't ever been pulled over for additional screening or anything like that at this point?
No, they did actually check my car once. Like they asked me
Just
if
a
I'm
routine.
just routine. Yeah, they're like, do you have anything? I said no, but they're like, we're just gonna do a routine checkup, and then they very quickly checked my car, and it was fine. I was good to go.
Yeah. So anything else about your experience traveling back and forth and on your TN?
Honestly, I feel like there is this narrative, and with the Trump administration, everyone's quite fearful of what's going on. A lot of Canadians are hesitant about transitioning to the U.S., but I don't think anyone really has anything to worry about. If you're not hiding anything, you're not doing anything wrong, you have good intentions, and you're honest with the border officers, you don't have anything to worry about. And I think the TN profession is a really good professional route that Canadians can take, and I don't think anything should deter that.
Yeah, well put. I would agree with you. And you've been helping all our clients since you've been here.
For sure.
What issues have you seen at the border with Canadians since working with us?
I feel like if you just have the right paperwork and you work with a good law firm that can prepare that package for you, again, you have nothing to worry about. And I think the biggest takeaway for anyone that's considering a TN status, if you qualify and your documents are clear and complete, it really doesn't have to be a stressful process.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you're spot on right there. It doesn't have to be. I think most people stress themselves out way more than they need to about the process, right?
Definitely.
And if you're prepared, you're qualified, and you have the documents, it should actually be rather routine, right? You're coming to the U.S. If you've come before, it's the same thing. Now they're just looking at a little more paperwork and ask you a few additional questions, and you have nothing to be concerned about.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, Arsh. Very informative. Hopefully everyone out there listening was able to gain a perspective of what it's like to work and live in the U.S. on a TN. Arsh does it every day, and you're not the only one. We also have another attorney in our office who's Canadian, who commutes every day to work. She commutes from St. Catharines, so it's a little bit farther. Shauna, one of the other attorneys too. And neither one of them has faced any issues in their commutes back and forth to the United States from Canada. Then they do it daily. Kashif's over here staring at me, so I think he's eager to get started and start talking about his immigration journey. So Kashif, as we already stated, you're Indian national,
Yes.
and tell us about what brought you to the United States.
So I always wanted to do my master's here in United States.
So you did your undergraduate in India?
Yes, I did my undergraduate in India at University of Mumbai, and then I worked for a couple of years because of COVID. So I didn't want to come here during COVID.
So you got your undergrad, worked for a few years in India?
Yes.
Okay.
So I did my undergrad at 2019, and 2020 COVID hit. So yeah, I didn't want to travel anywhere during that time. So
Good choice.
yes, because I've seen my seniors. So they had their classes all online. So it's not what I wanted to do. So yes, just when the COVID and all the restrictions ended, I applied for my F1. Before applying for my F1,
So F1 is a student visa for anybody that
Yes.
has a question about what that is. So it's a
Yes.
visa that a student primarily uses to study in the United States.
Yes, and
You're Indian, so the process is different, right?
Yes,
So
it is
we'll see a
totally
distinct difference between Arsh, right? Arsh, Canadian. You just went to the border, right?
Yep.
You did you have to go to the consulate?
No.
No.
Straight to the border.
Straight to the border. Just showed them your passport and your paperwork, and you didn't. Do you have a visa in your passport?
Just a visa stamp. But
Just a stamp, right? So you'll notice a difference between Arsha's process as a Canadian. She didn't have to go to the consulate. She didn't have to get an actual visa in her passport. She just presented the documentation directly at the port of entry and was admitted.
Yeah, that's true. So other than Canadians, all of us has to get a physical visa on our passport. So when I
Which looks a lot like your passport page, right?
Yes.
Your
Yeah,
one with your
biographic
photo on
page.
it. Yeah, they
Yeah.
do another one from the U.S.
Uh-huh.
that has your photo on it.
yes, so it will has United States of America written and visa written in the passport in the sticker. So when I got accepted at University of Buffalo, they gave me what it's called an I-20 form. And that I-20 will be your primary document throughout your international student life. So,
And this I-20 applies to Canadians as well. So anybody
Yes.
studying would get an I-20.
Yes, and you have to update that I-20 regularly whenever you travel in and out internationally with your university's international student office. And yes, at the border, when my F1, so
You went to consulate in Mumbai?
yes, I booked my appointment and my biometrics at the consulate at Mumbai. I had to attend an interview for F1, and then when I got approved, they ask you a bunch of questions like which they already know. Like they asked me like what university I'm going to, and what is your financial proof, which is already in my I-20. So
Yeah.
they're
Just verifying
just
everything.
verifying it, and then what are your plans after you get your education? So you have to justify that because it is a non-immigrant visa. So you have to justify that you're coming back to your
back to your home country, yeah.
country. Yes. So
Just like a TN, right? TN is also non-immigrant. So they want to make sure you're just coming for work purposes and you're going back. So a student as well. If it's non-immigrant, you're coming just for study. And when you're done, your plans to return.
yes. So I got approved.
So when are you going back? Just kidding. So you got approved.
Yes. So when I came here, United States, I landed at JFK. So they just asked.
So was the consular interview similar to what Arsh would have experienced at the border? Would you say that the questioning was relatively straightforward, or do you think
No.
it was a more intense process?
It is a more intense process.
So a little bit more intense.
Yes, because every consular interview, it is a lot more intense because They are verifying your immigrant intent, and it's not at the border; it's at a consulate, and there are officers in there, and there's a proper glass separation between you and them that creates
It's a more intimidating of a process, you would
yes.
say.
Uh,
I've never gone through it, but from what I've heard clients say, that is the case. That if you go to the consulate, the scrutiny is a little bit higher there. Not that they don't do it at the border, but you're going before that officer, and they're doing more extreme vetting than they do necessarily for Canadian at the border. So that's an advantage of Canadians. You don't have to go through this consular vetting process. They do take your biometrics and fingerprints like they did with Arsh, right? And they do question you. It's not like they're just letting everybody in, but it's a very different process that Canadians, and emphasizing for Canadians, that they have. That's a benefit for being Canadian. You don't have to go through this consular process like Kashif did.
Oh yes, and it is a lot more intimidating process.
Then
Because
once you're approved, they take your passport, and then
Yes.
they put that visa in there.
yes, so it takes them around 2 to 3 days to.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah, it is quick, and then you have an option that you can pick up yourself, or you can ship it to your home. So I shipped it to my home, and yes. So when I got here, I landed at JFK Airport, and
That's a big one.
it is a big one. And I had my connecting flight to Buffalo. It was a real short connection. But there was a separate line for short connections at JFK.
Okay.
And the border officer, I was really nervous when I first came here in the United States. But the border officer didn't ask me that much.
So now at this point, you're going through a similar process that Arsh did, right? Because now you're with CBP.
Yes. Yeah. So the CBP officer, he just asked my passport, my I-20, just these two documents, and then he asked me to put my fingerprints in. They have a device,
Biometrics.
and then he said that where are you going? So I told them Buffalo, and then he said that what are you going to study? I said MBA, and I think so that was it. He said, okay, you're good to go.
So very similar. Just once you get to that point, you've already been vetted already by
Yes.
Department of State too. So, but yeah, just verifying the details of your stay in the United States, right?
Yes.
And we talk about this on the podcast a lot. What you're doing in the United States needs to line up with your visa, right? Kashif's come to study. Well, you should be going to study.
Yes.
Arsh is working. Well, you should be coming to work. You know, if you're coming on vacation, well, you're coming on vacation. You're not working and you're not studying, right? So you have to know the limitations of your visa and the allowances of it too.
Yes. And the port of entry is also very important, because I have seen cases where people are coming on H1B visa or L1 or F1 visa, and their university or their workplace is, for example, at New York, and they are landing in San Francisco with no connecting flights. So that might flag that why are you coming here? So I've seen rejections of F1. I've seen F1s getting revoked because they are not, and they don't have connecting flights from there.
That'd be like Arsh applying for a TN in Seattle.
Yep.
Yes, exactly.
What? Why are you in Seattle?
Uh-huh.
Unless
Your
you
workplace,
live there, right? But
unless you live there.
Yeah.
So they might think that they have any family members over there, and
you have some other you
have some
school
other
might not
intent.
be your main reason you're coming, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you have some other intentions.
So port of entry is really important.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it should be close to your
Your
university destination or workplace.
Everything should line up, and that's what a border officer is doing, right? They're trying to connect the dots.
Yes.
If their dots aren't connecting, my kids, they like those law enforcement shows, and there's a CBP one. I forget what it's called. There's like a to catch a smuggler one, and there's another one where they're with CBP. watch the show. That's how the process works.
Yes.
They're looking for oddities, right? They're looking around like that person, they look a little nervous, or that person said they're coming to visit, but they have four massive suitcases. Like, what's going on here, right? So things just don't line up.
Yes.
Or you're driving in and you're saying you're going to Disneyland, but you're pulling a trailer that's for carpentry. What do you need a carpentry trailer to go to Disneyland for? No, you're working, right?
Yes. So your intent and what you say to the CBP officer at the border is really important, because it should align, like what you have and what you're going to do there. Yeah, and yes, when I first came here to the United States.
Do you like the United States? I guess we should ask Arsh that first. Arsh, what do you think of the? I know a lot of Canadians right now don't want to step foot in the U.S.
I like it.
Don't say anything that's getting you in trouble back in Canada.
Plead the fifth. No, I do like it. I am enjoying my experience here. The culture is very similar. I feel like it's not really that different. Like, same people.
I mean, we do food trucks in the square, and you just walk out on the street like any other person, right? Do you guys feel like?
I don't feel like an alien. No.
No.
Do you feel
same for me?
Concerned for your safety or anything like that?
Definitely not. No.
Nope.
Not more than you should, because we are in downtown Buffalo. But
yeah,
I mean, outside of the normal concerns that you would have anywhere, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So if you're following all the rules and you're legally, and you're here legally, so you don't have to worry about anything else, because it's a lot more safer country than any other. I would say. Just that you have to follow the rules and be here legally. If you're doing all of that, you don't need to worry about anything else.
Yep, I would agree, and I think all of our experiences and what we've seen with clients backs that up too. Right? There's nothing you really need to worry about. Now, Kosh, if you're on the next stage of your journey, right? You finished your studies, and then we offered you a job here. And how long have you been here now?
So next week it's gonna be a year.
Holy cow! What? June? What
3rd June. So next
3rd
Tuesday,
June.
this Tuesday, upcoming Tuesday.
Oh wow, a year.
Yes. So when I got,
And you're still here.
I am. I love it here.
Yeah, both Arsh and Kashif, they're amazing. They're both do a great job, and they offer a lot to our team. So, if you work with us, you might be lucky enough to work with Arsh. You probably won't work with Kashif, but he's a behind the scenes guy who, in our administrative staff,
Yes.
that does a lot behind the scenes with our marketing and business development and things of that. So he's a great part of our team. And so your next step, and Kashif was like 1 in a million. If you know the H-1B lottery,
Yeah.
Arsh is lucky. She doesn't have to mess with the lottery because she's Canadian. She just gets her TN, goes and smiles and waves at the border, and she's on her way. Canadians really don't understand, right, how lucky you are to have the USMCA and the benefits of that, and your visa exempt status and ability to come to the U.S. Kashif, you had to take these additional steps, but on top of that, now you're on what's called work authorization, right?
Yes. So I'm on my OPT, which is optional practical training. Yes. So I had to get my EAD card and all of that authorization to work here. And I just filed for my STEM extension, and I also got selected at H-1B.
Selected in the H-1B lottery. And that is the, Willy Wonka's golden ticket, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you get that, you won the lottery. You really have. Because Indian citizens can't take advantage of a TN because they're not Canadian. So they have to be thrown into the pot with the rest of the world with a chance at the H-1B lottery. And lucky enough, this is the first time we've ever done an H-1B sponsorship,
Yes,
and
and it got
we got
selected.
selected. So amazing. So Kosh was lucky enough to get selected in that lottery, and now he has a pathway for long-term employment in the United States, because EAD is temporary, right?
Yeah, it is temporary. So it just gives the authorization until your OPT ends or your STEM OPT ends. So that's it.
So it's initial term of 12 months, right?
Yes, initially it's only 12 months.
But you're STEM.
Yes,
So
I am STEM. So it is additional 24 months for me. But my current EAD it's expiring June 3rd as I complete my 1 year.
Yeah.
And so the thing with OPT to H1B transition is that you have a gap extension. So even if you don't have a STEM extension and you get selected and in an H1B lottery and your OPT is expiring, so you get an automatic extension which is called the gap extension until you receive your H1B stamp on your passport.
Yep. So you don't have to re-up. It's automatic.
Yeah.
And you get to take advantage of that. Essentially, the H-1B before you get it.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yep. Gap extension. And then we'll see from there. If you guys continue to like the United States and working here, and there's a long-term path, right, to the United States. So it is exciting to see and to have individuals that are taking that journey. But it's possible, right? Whether you're from India, like Kashif, or you live in, or you're Canadian, like Arsh, then there are pathways. They're different depending on where you're from, and it's very important. And we talk about that all the time. Where were you born, right? As well as where are you a citizen? Because that's going to determine the pathway you take. You might be Canadian, like Arsh, and be able to take advantage of a TN. Mm-hmm. Well, you may be Indian, like Kashif, and the H-1B is your route. But a lot of people start with the study route, like you did, Kashif.
Yes, a lot of people do that.
Study and get the OPT, and then get a job, and then get sponsorship.
Yeah,
it's the long game. Right?
Or just marry a U.S. citizen.
Or just marry a U.S. citizen. So anybody out there, U.S. citizen, we have two eligible. We have Arsh and Kashif are in the market. Just kidding. But yeah, that's the shortcut. Find yourself a U.S. citizen, and then, they sponsor you for a green card. And we see that a lot with Canadians who have, the cross-border life. It's so close to the United States that happens on a regular basis. All right. So, Arsh, anything else you want to add for us?
No, I think we covered everything pretty nicely. I think the biggest thing is just have good intentions when you're dealing with immigration matters like this. I think that's really important.
An important question I didn't ask you yet, though, is Canadian pizza better or buffalo pizza?
That's a good question.
Do Canadians even take pride in their pizza, or do they?
I feel like we
know.
don't.
You don't.
Not enough.
No. So Canadian pizza or buffalo?
Buffalo.
And obviously buffalo wings, right?
Yes.
Have you had
course.
buffalo wings?
I have. I actually had them yesterday.
Good, huh?
Oh.
Where did you get them?
I forget what it was called. Starts with a C. It's like 6 minutes away from here.
Oh, yeah. It's a place I don't know. But you guys were talking about it.
Carlone's, I think? Yeah, Carlone's.
So just a hometown little corner joint.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Those are the best.
Definitely.
Yeah. Food in Buffalo is amazing.
It is amazing.
Look at the food trucks.
Yes.
What about you, Kosh? If anything else you want to add?
No, I think so. We have pretty much covered everything. So, but I will be back with my H-1B approval and talk about my H-1B journey. It's a whole new immigration journey.
Yeah.
And it will add another layer in my immigration. So.
Yeah, and we still do quite a few H-1Bs. And sometimes, and we've had this discussion, sometimes you're not, like Arsh, or her profession as a lawyer falls under a TN, so she's able to get a TN. well, maybe your profession doesn't qualify for a TN. Well, then you might have to take the route that Kashif did and go through that H-1B lottery and get an H-1B depending on your occupation. What about you? What about your pizza? Is the pizza good?
Oh, of course, the pizza. It's here.
Amazing, huh?
It is amazing.
India pizza's really good though too.
India pizza is?
It is good.
It is good.
It is.
We have some clients who have some restaurants out there in Canada. And they do an Indian, I think they do
Indian style pizza.
Indian style pizza, yeah.
It is good.
It's really good. Never had it.
You should. But the wings over here, it's much better.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, no one beats buffalo wings.
My favorite is Barbill.
Barbell.
Anytime.
Barbell, yeah, Barbell is really good. Then you have Duff's.
Yeah.
Then you have Elmo's. Oh, we can keep going.
Oh yeah, we can wing nuts.
Wing nuts. There's so many good wing joints.
They are.
Oh, now you're making me hungry. All right. Well, thank you, Arsh, Kashif, for your time today. I enjoyed, talking to you about your experiences and hopefully, this gave an added perspective to individuals who are thinking about working or living in the United States and what that experience looks like. Thank you for tuning in. If you have already subscribed, thank you. If you haven't, please subscribe and share this podcast with friends or family or individuals out there that you think would enjoy the content. Thank you for tuning in and have a great day.